Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christopher Tan, and I'm a professional nanoblock brick artist. So what does that mean exactly? It means I get to do stuff like this as part of my job. So up here, you can see just some of my many creations. I've done over 400 so far. A lot of my inspiration comes from popular culture, but I also love building a lot of those architectural pieces. You also notice a lot of movie and cartoon characters among my creations, simply because I love those things. So first, a little bit about myself. I started building with Nanoblock in 2011. It began as a hobby, and I created a lot of my own custom designs. And then I started sharing them on social media like Facebook, Instagram. Over time, my fan base started to grow, and I started to get a lot of corporate inquiries. So in 2014, I actually decided to go full-time as a professional. Today, I'm happy to say I have over 57,000 fans on Facebook alone. Thank you. Over the years, I've actually won 7 Nanoblock Awards of Excellence in the International Nanoblock Award Competition. And last year, I was conferred the title Tatsujin, Master of Nanoblock, by Kawada, the makers of Nanoblock. That's like the Nanoblock equivalent of a Lego master builder. Interesting fact, I am one of only 2 non-Japanese Tatsujins worldwide, out of a total of 30. I've also collaborated with Kawada to release 4 of my designs commercially, so you can actually buy them in stores. And you can see the words designed by Christopher Tan printed on the packaging. For those of you who have ever tried collaborating with a Japanese company, you will know how big a deal that is. So all of that led me to establish my own company, Kristan Design, that specializes in nanobrick design and manufacturing. So we do a lot of corporate projects, and we also do a lot of work for creative agencies all around the world. So if you ever attend an event and you see them giving away custom nanobrick sets, it's probably one of our projects. Apart from that, I've also done a lot of international exhibitions in countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, and Malaysia. So that's just a little bit about myself. Now, to give you a better idea of what it is that I do, here's a short video. Sometimes it still feels kind of surreal that building with Nanoblock has taken me so far. Traveling around the world, meeting up with fans everywhere, it still feels a lot like a dream, but a very good one. Now we come to the not so fun part of being famous. It's actually being sold everywhere now. I've personally seen it in places like night markets in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia. It's everywhere. Even in Sunway Pyramid in Asian Avenue, you can go check it out. More than 60 of my designs have been stolen by over a dozen different Chinese manufacturers. It's unfortunate, but that's an issue that many of us artists face today. Intellectual property rights are still very weak in China, so there's really nothing much that individuals like us can do about this. I guess I just have to keep telling myself, hey, my designs are actually worth stealing. Self-consolation. Oh, but you know what's the funniest bit? You see, I actually created a nanoblock version of myself to use as an avatar on my Facebook profile and places like Instagram and so on. And guess what? One morning I wake up and I saw this. How crazy is that? And do you see that they actually even printed Chris on the box? I really have no idea what they were thinking, but yeah, they even stole me. So you can buy me for less than 10 ringgit right now. Okay, so we move on to a bit of history. Nanoblock was created by Kawada, a toy company based in Tokyo, Japan. They have been making building block toys for a really long time. They first released Diablock, a larger size building block toy, way back in 1962. It was only in 2008 that they came out with Nanoblock, and internationally, they only launched it around 2010, 2011. Today, it's available in over 31 countries worldwide, and they have won numerous toy awards for it. The market for Nanoblock is rapidly expanding, and there are now over a dozen different brands, like Tico and Brixies. I should not mention all the brands that stole my designs. So, what is the idea behind Nanoblock? It's obviously very small. As you can see up here, the Nanoblock Leica camera is sitting next to an AA-sized battery. The smallest Nanoblock brick is only 4 by 4 by 5 millimeters, very tiny. So why did Kawada decide to make it so small? You see, in Japan, property prices are sky high, and people live in relatively small homes. When you build stuff like this, you have to ask yourself, where are you going to put it after you build it, right? So this is now an issue in most developed cities worldwide, not only in Japan. And unfortunately, not many of us have the luxury of buying big houses. So that was the reason that drove them to create Nanoblock. Now I should point out that Nanoblock is not for young kids. It's recommended for ages 12 and above, but most Nanoblock fans are in fact adults in the 18 to 35 age group. So you don't have to worry about people laughing at you when you play a Nanoblock because a lot of adults out there do it. Another interesting fact is that half of Nanoblock fans are female, as opposed to the male-dominated world of Lego. That leads to the next question that people ask me all the time. Is Nanoblock just a smaller Lego? The answer is no, and I'll tell you why. There are, in fact, a number of differences apart from just the size alone. Nanoblock and Lego are conceptually different. Fundamentally, they're conceptually different. Lego was designed for playability, meaning you build something and then you play with it. Like if you build a car, you can push it around, you can turn the steering wheel, you can also pretend accident by ramming the car against a minifigure, stuff like that. Nanoblock, on the other hand, is like pixel art, but in 3D. You build something and then you will just put it aside for display. You're not going to touch it after that. Another big difference is in the locking mechanism. Nanoblock uses the double fin locking system, which is a lot more flexible because it allows you to position bricks along the length of the brick, anywhere you want. Lego, on the other hand, uses the tube locking system, which requires you to slot in the bricks at very specific positions along the brick. Another thing you'll notice about Nanoblock is that there are very limited varieties of types of bricks. There are only about 3 dozen types, as opposed to the over 15,000 types of Lego bricks. Most Nanoblock bricks are fundamentally generic, meaning they're not designed for one specific purpose. Lego, on the other hand, you'll see a lot of very specific bricks like flowers, leaves, steering wheel, bumper, and so on. For Nanoblock, if you want a flower, you're going to have to build it yourself. Lastly, being small obviously means that you can capture a lot more detail. You can see up here, that's a life-size World Cup trophy that I built. It's about this big, and it uses over 6,000 bricks. That took me 4 days working 16 hours a day. And if you want to build something like, say, a life-size ice cream sundae cone, no problem. In fact, I have one here. This uses over 500 bricks right here. So, yep. So basically, You can build really tiny things with this. Now I'll talk about Nanoblock for art and design. Nanoblock is a really wonderful material for artistic expression. Anything that you can imagine, you can probably build it. It's just a question of having enough time and enough bricks. It's small enough that you can capture a lot of detail, but very important is that it's big enough that you can build with just your fingers alone. So it's very convenient to build a nanoblock, and anyone can do it. It is also infinitely reusable. If you build something and then you find that you don't like it, just break it apart and do it again, no problem, as often as you want. Another important thing is that it's very easy to share your designs with others. You can just create step-by-step build instructions and post it online. Then anyone will be able to follow it to replicate your design. Now, why is that important? Now, you remember the Hong Kong exhibition which I showed you earlier in the video? We set out to create the largest nanoblock creation in the world using over 250,000 bricks. Now, if I had to do it all by myself, can you imagine how long it would take? So what I did was, I designed several variations of the buildings and the houses that you see in Rio de Janeiro. And then I printed out the instructions and I passed it over to my volunteers. 20 people spent 12 hours a day working for 5 days to finish building that. If I were doing it myself, I would have probably gone crazy. So next, we talk about how to do design in Nanoblock. Normally, how I start is that I'll go on Google image search, and I'll look for photos of the thing that I'm trying to build. I'll usually look for photos of it from several different angles, and that allows me to build up a 3D mental image and allows me to visualize how to go about designing it. Now, if you were building a scale model, like say a famous landmark, you should also go and look for the actual dimensions so that you can scale it properly by doing the math. This is important because you want it to look right. The next thing that you need to ask yourself is that, to what level of detail do you want to build it? If you build it big, you can obviously capture a lot of detail. But if you are building it small, you have to use your artistic discretion to decide which detail is important and which is not, because you can't possibly capture everything in a small design. So up here in the photo, you can see both of those cameras are the same camera, but at very different sizes, and you can compare the different levels of detail. After that, what I normally do is I prototype to test different ideas. We prototype because we want to make sure that, when you build something, you don't want to finish almost building the whole thing and then find that there's just one small part there that you can't build properly at that particular size. So you test with the complex parts first. Now, if you're building something like, say, a character like this snowman over here, you should start from the smallest significant detail. So in this case, I will actually start building from the nose first, and then followed by the eyes and the mouth, then only then the rest of the head and the rest of the body. We start from the smallest significant detail because it sets the scale to which you have to build everything else. Generally, we build with the bigger bricks first. And then we use the smaller bricks to refine the shape. So that's how you design with Nanoblock. Nanoblock is not just a toy. It's a wonderful material for you to use for creative expression. It's really fun to build in Nanoblock because you can instantly see and feel the thing that you're building. It's a physical medium. It's also a great way to relax. When you're building a Nanoblock, it's like you're in a world of your own and you just completely zone out. So I hope all of you will give this a try. You guys might enjoy it. Thank you very much.